Well, it was kind of presented as the writing was on the wall that Andre Drummond was probably going to leave the Chicago Bulls. Well, we got news today from Joe Cowley that that's probably now the most likely outcome. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. So one of the lingering questions ahead of the Chicago Bulls official offseason starting is what's going to happen with Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond, who is an unrestricted free agent this offseason, and is probably able to get more out on the open market than what the Chicago Bulls are prepared to offer him. Well, according to Joe Cowley of the Chicago Sun-Times, it is now expected that Andre Drummond will be exploring and looking for a new team this offseason. And he even throws in that this. What remains to be seen is what direction do the Bulls go in? Do they prepare for DeMar DeRozan possibly leaving in free agency? Or if he does return, the more likely scenario, draft his heir apparent at the small forward position. Do they grab a big to replace the expected vacancy with Andre Drummond, looking for a new team as well as some youth to push starter Nikola Vucevic? So, this isn't surprising. And I think, if most of you guys have been following me consistently, I've been saying that the most likely thing is losing Andre Drummond. The only way that I really see the Bulls holding on to Andre Drummond is if one of a few things happen. If the Bulls move on from Zach LaVine and maybe DeMar DeRozan, in that case, they have plenty of cap space to be able to re-sign Andre Drummond. If they do look to move on from Nikola Vucevic as well, if they do draft a young center, move on from Vuce or kind of dump him off in any place that you can, as far as not taking most of the salary back, and have a young center in Andre Drummond. But the most likely thing is going to be Andre Drummond looking for a new team, and especially with teams like the Philadelphia 76ers that have like 4 players under contract heading into next season, tons of cap space, and who could be looking for not only a backup to somebody to back up Joel Embiid, but also in case Joel does go down, a high volume center that can play as well, and Drummond can do that. Andre Drummond has played on the vet minimum contract for the last, I think, 4 years of his career. And so he's definitely somebody with how he's played with the Chicago Bulls is probably going to be able to net more than just the vet minimum out on the free agent market. Matter of fact, Andre Drummond was quoted as one point saying on Twitter saying this: "To be pouting on the bench, making faces, not cheering your fucking teammates, I was that guy. I went from $100 million to a effing league minimum." So listen, Drum is of course looking for more of the league minimum, and the Bulls may just not be in a position to offer that with Andre Drummond. Would you pair that with the talent that is at the center position in this draft, as well as maybe the emergence of Adama Sanago? Maybe the writing is on the wall that Andre Drummond is on his way out. Now, with that said, I also like the fact that in Joe Cowley's article, he even mentions that maybe the future of DeMar DeRozan isn't as certain as some Bulls fans think. A lot of Bulls fans do think, because of AK continuity, that it is likely that DeMar DeRozan is probably going to get offered a contract and maybe even the Bulls overpay to keep him. But it seems like Joe Cowley has some questions there. Doesn't mean that it's legit. You guys know I'm not a big Joe Cowley guy. I think that sometimes his articles are more fluff pieces than actual pieces. But it is interesting to be seen. He was the first one to call Zach LaVine getting an offseason surgery last offseason, or a couple offseasons ago. So, he is right sometimes, but take it with a huge grain of salt when it comes down to it with, what Joe Cowley is saying. But, this kind of factors in and kind of matches what it just seems like the market is going to be as well for the Chicago Bulls. But if the Bulls do look to go wing in this draft, it would leave the Bulls extremely thin at the center position, even if they do plan on moving Adama Sanogo up to the main roster of the NBA. But that remains to be seen. But as it stands right now, there's now some questions as far as Andre Drummond being now expected to leave in free agency. We'll see if that actually comes to fruition. Let me throw this to you guys. When it comes down to it, in this draft, when it comes to the Chicago Bulls, do you think they should be looking at centers? I have Khalil Ware, Kyle Filipowski, definitely are players on my draft board. Should they be looking at the center position, or should they be looking at players that maybe can come in and take over the small forward position, a la Mattis Bucilis, Terrence Shannon Jr., Tajon Saloon, who may project to be more of a power forward, but there are some definite options out there for the Chicago Bulls at either position. Let me know if Drum is leaving, and regardless, whatever it plays out with DeMar DeRozan, he's not part of the long-term future. Which position do you think they should look at when it comes down to it? But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys are following the show at Bull Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.